It is also the appearance day of Visnupriya Devi, who is the consort of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's a beautiful description. Lakshmi Devi, the first wife of Lord Chaitanya, died of separation when he went to East Bengal to preach. When he returned, Sachi Mata so much wanted to him to have another wife. Actually, every day she would see Visnupriya on the banks of the Ganges. And every day Visnupriya, with great humility, would bow down before Sachi Mata. She was the very embodiment of devotion. And she was so beautiful in every way. She was the daughter of a great Brahmin named Sanatan Mishra. And she was perfectly chaste and devoted to her parents, who were pure devotees of the Lord. She would bathe in the Ganges 3 times a day and was always chanting the holy names and performing different devotional activities. So Sachi Mata thought, this is the person who should be the bride of my child. So what happened is she approached Kashinath Mishra, who was a Brahmin, and he went to Sanatan Mishra's home and said that Sachi Mata wants your daughter to marry her son. You will be the most fortunate, anyone who marries Nimai Pandit. So he spoke to his family, and they all said, we were just dreaming and thinking that he's the person who should marry our daughter. So there's a very wonderful, elaborate description of this marriage. Buddhimanta Khan, he came forward and said that this should not be another poor Brahmin's marriage. This should be the most opulent marriage in Bengal. This should be a marriage fit for a prince. I will sponsor everything. And Mukund Sanjay, who was another householder, said, why you want to sponsor everything? I want to give money too. In this way, there was a very luxurious wedding arranged. It was a wonderful ceremony. And people began to dance and to sing. And in this way, there was a fire yagya. And then Visnupriya Devi again circumambulated to gather the fire. And in this way, the marriage was complete. Sanatan Mishra took the hand of his daughter and placed it in the hand of Lord Chaitanya, after offering him argya and madhuparak and achman and all sorts of other wonderful offerings. And he said, please, it is my supreme fortune on this day that you kindly accept the hand of my daughter in marriage. I give her in charity to you, along with everything else in my life I offer to you. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted. And then again they showered flowers, and there was a wonderful festival. Throughout the night there was a wonderful festival, and a big feast was served to everyone's full satisfaction. And the next morning there was more celebrations, and that afternoon they went on a procession back to Sachi Mata's house. And this time Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Visnupriya were sitting together on the palanquin. And anyone who saw them together was simply struck with the wonder of the beauty of this divine couple. Some were saying, they look like Lakshmi and Narayan. And others said, they look like Kamadev and Rati. And someone else said, they look like Shiva and Parvati. And others said, they look like Radha and Krishna. And when they finally came to the house of Sachi Mata, with tears of love streaming from her eyes, she greeted them and offered arti and offered refreshments and brought them into the house. And in this way the marriage ceremony was concluded. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Visnupriya lived together in the loving service of the Lord. But on the eve that Lord Chaitanya was to take sannyas, Visnupriya Devi approached him alone in the room that they stayed. And she said, my Lord, I have heard rumors that tonight you will leave me and take sannyas, the renounced order. How is this possible? Your lotus feet are so soft that I dare not even touch them, afraid that I may harm them. How will you be barefoot, walking through the jungles and the forest with thorns and rocks, with your soft, beautiful lotus feet? And your face is so gentle, like the full moon. How will you tolerate the heat of the summer, the cold of the winter, the bitter rains of the monsoons? The life of a sannyasi is very cruel, it is very difficult. I cannot bear to think of you in this way. And you are my only wealth. You are my life, you are my soul, you are my everything. If you leave me, I have nothing to live for. I may as well drink poison and die. Please do not leave. You have your friends, Nityananda, Srivasa, Dvaita. If you consider me to be the cause of bondage, then I will give up my life. But please, you stay with your friends and remain comfortable here. But do not leave. I beg of this. I cannot survive. And she began to weep and to cry. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak to her with very sweet and gentle, compassionate words. He expressed his deep love for her and how they could never be separated. But then he said their hearts could never be separated. But he said, please know that there are only two things that are real in the whole creation. There is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and there is the Vaishnavas, the devotees. And everything else is an illusion. Wife, husband, mother, father, children, social position, wealth, home, they are all coming and going. They are all products of Maya. We can utilize these things in the service of the Lord, but we should not be attached to them. We should only be attached to Krishna and his devotees. All of these attachments in the world are all sources of pain. So you should know that I will always be within your heart whenever you remember me. I will never give you up in this way. And then Lord Chaitanya showed his four-armed form of Narayan to Visnupriya. And by hearing his words and seeing this form, she became pacified. But again, she began to weep because she could not give up the thought of him as her husband. And then she spoke the words of pure surrender. She said, my Lord, you are independent. Whatever you desire, you must do. If you desire to leave me, if you desire to take sannyas, whatever you desire, you please do it, because the only ambition in my life is to see you happy, and let no one obstruct your happiness in life. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu encouraged her with so many words of love, and then he left to take sannyas. Later that night, Visnupriya, in the absence of the Lord, was given Murti, worshipped that Murti as her own husband and beloved. And every day she would constantly chant the holy names of the Lord. And after each mantra she would take 1 grain of rice and place it aside. And after chanting all day, however many grains of rice were there, she would cook it and she would offer to the deity of Lord Chaitanya, and she would just eat a small portion of that. She became emaciated. This was the standard of her love in separation. And she continued. And when Sachi Mata was invited to Shantipur to see Lord Chaitanya, she was so happy she would see herself. But Visnupriya could not go, because according to the traditions, after a man takes sannyas, he is not to see his ex-wife again. So she lived in the unbearable ecstasy of separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, her eternal consort. As Sri Radharani was in separation when Krishna left for Mathura and Dwarka, as Sita was in separation when she was ordered to reside in the ashram of Valmiki Muni, this love and separation is the tenderest and most intimate expression of transcendental ecstasy. And in the biographies of the Lord and his devotees, it explains when Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and other great souls came to Navadvip after Lord Chaitanya passed from this world, they were all greeted by Visnupriya Mataji. They worshipped her lotus feet. And on this day, the appearance day of Sri Visnupriya, the eternal consort of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we also have the opportunity to worship her lotus feet by hearing her glories and chanting the holy names of the Lord.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on thesacredconnect.com.